Doobie doobie doobie. I eat my spaghetti with a spoon. I don't know where that came from. Pika, did you write that? No? Talked I'll talk to you at the next script meeting. Don't tell the writers strike. But we are pre-recorded before a live studio audience of My Stuffed Animals. And welcome back to the 31 Days of Halloween, aka Shocktober, aka the 31 Days of Horror. It's a horror movie a day celebrating the Halloween season. And lots of people do it. This is my second annual show series. This is a program in the series. Kind of ripping off cinema spections, curated images here on slow, just all props. Thank you. I mean, just I needed to throw some movie in the background and also block it with my big head. We have been talking about movies of a certain genre and age. Well, it's horror movies, but there's a subgenre there. It's called the slasher movies of the 70s and 80s. We've literally inspected the Friday the 13th series completely. We have literally inspected the Nightmare on Elm Street series completely. We took a good gander at the first three Halloween movies from 1978 to 1982. We also dialed back the Wayback Machine, and we looked at 1974's The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original by Tobe Hooper. I've already watched. I haven't talked about it yet. I'm gonna wait till the end. I think we're gonna have a final series in the program. But it's about like basically the end of the ladies in cinema. I mean, and through those lenses. I got that. So we're gonna do Black Christmas at the end of the month, along with Hereditary and Midsummer. To end this respecting Mother Nature herself, right? But Black Christmas and Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 1974 kind of ushered in this post-Hays era, the post-Hays Code era modern slasher film of just and a new level of terror, suspense, and graphic horror and special effects. And is this thing rolling? Who knows? Yeah, keep rolling. That, my friends, the background is a cast shot from the 1951 Howard Hawks' The Thing from Another Planet, which is part one of our Creature double feature. That's right. What is Creature double feature? I'll tell you. I grew up on a TV show called Creature Feature and Creature Double Feature they showed two movies. And it was on a local television station on the UHF dial, the lower dial, the higher numbers, channel 56 WLVI. It was actually right near me geographically growing up, right in where Dorchester meets South Boston at the Columbia Rotary, right around there, before Gallivan Boulevard starts up a bit. You can still see the husk of the old studio if you take the red line past JFK UMass to any of the Ashmont or Braintree destinations. Bostonian information here. But yeah, so we've got a double feature. The Creature double feature, it was a staple of Saturday afternoons. It came on about like 1 o'clock or so, and it was the perfect thing for after Saturday morning cartoons to get two horror movies. Sometimes it was like a kaiju movie. Those are like big Japanese monster movies. For those who don't know, just like vampire movies, monster movies, like mummies and stuff. Um, it might have been like where I saw stuff like the abominable Dr. Phibes, but that seems more like Channel 38 kind of movies. They had a different kind of Channel 38 had better movies in a way. The competition. But it was 56 that had not only creature feature but also eventually kung fu theater, showing lots of Hong Kong movies. The kind where like guy jumps up in the air and steps on someone's chest and then they spew out some bright red stuff that's supposed to be simulated blood. It's what I mean, just Saturday afternoon cinema on TV. And there was creature feature and creature double feature, and they showed lots and lots of horror movies. And so that's the theme for today is creature double feature, and we're doing two versions of the same story. There was a 1931, 1938 science fiction horror novella by American author John W. Campbell called Who Goes There? Yeah, it's just it was first published in a 1938 issue of Astounding Science Fiction. And it was also printed as The Thing from Another World, which is the title of the 1951 production of the story, the first adaptation here. And it's a bit more. It's interesting because it's part of the story. The story is part of the story. Yeah, I've never read the short story. I'm just like looking at the wiki. Yeah, looking at the wiki. But, I mean, just wiki is like, we used to call them Cliff's Notes back in the 20th century before the internet. There were publications with like a familiar yellow and red cover. And it was the Cliff Notes on Homer's The Iliad. If you don't have any time or inclination to get your way through the language of said book, it's like here's your 20th century wiki. Yeah, bullet points and that's stuff like that. But who goes there? Yeah. Which gets changed a lot. And it gets changed a lot in the 1951 version, this version here, because it has a happy ending. This 1951, we started just off with the recap of like recalling like what we've watched this year so far. So it was just so refreshing and wonderful to watch a 1951 science fiction horror movie. Something completely harmless in a way. And just revel in its production values and the maturity of the storytelling too. This Hays Code horror movie, that was just made for general audiences. There's still that concept of the general audience out there. Don't confuse that with the modern audiences. I don't even think, I think that's just a brochure headline. That's a sales pitch. Modern audiences. I think there's the general audience. Yeah. And this was, The Thing. The Thing from Another Planet. And by 1982, John Carpenter does The Thing. And he goes back to the original short story, Who Goes There? And it just, they both have like the short story and the 82 thing both have McReady, Mac, and who's the Kurt Russell character. I mean, if I could, I wish I was trying to find just I wanted a loop of Mac and Childs at the end of the movie. That fucking brilliant interpretive ending. Who is who? Which one was? Does it even matter? I mean, they saved the world regardless. Did they not? There's a 2011 version too called The Thing, but it is literally the prequel. It's the Norwegian station and everything that happened leading up to the dog in the opening of 1982, and the helicopter taking shots at it. It all starts with the dog, and it's interesting too because the dog enters the one room and we don't see anyone except for their outline or the silhouette behind the light. And I heard a great theory off of one of the channels that John Carpenter probably used somebody not in the cast to cast the silhouette so you couldn't figure out who it was. So it's like I'm looking at, you could definitely see someone's hair. So I'm just like, oh, well, it wasn't Childs from the beginning, or how much hair. It wasn't Mac right from the beginning. Or like, the shape of the head or something like that to the shoulders. It might not have been Quinn the entire time either. It just, but The Thing, oh, wow, what a good movie. But 82's The Thing is a John Carpenter movie, and it goes in with the horror movies of the 80s. It's not a slasher movie, but it is a very well produced, moody piece. It's very moody. The lighting and the camera work. This movie's immensely great. I know I'm jumping around a bit, but I don't care. It was 109 minutes. That's 10 minutes under 2 hours. But it's tension, and it's cast, and it's an ensemble, and it's a celebrate these special effects of the early 20th century, and the practical effects of trying to like in the 2011 The Thing, everything was done CGI, and there's just a visual scariness even with the older stuff that you don't get, we lose it. But 1982 was a big year in film. All right, E.T. had come out that year. Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, Blade Runner. I mean, it couldn't compete in that marketplace. It was released June 25th in the summer of 1982. I was 9 years old. And its budget was at $15 million, and its box office was $19.6 million in North America. And but it's a lot different than the tone, the vibe, and the well-natured kind of just good old-fashioned 1950s American storytelling. And I'm not saying that because of its lack of diversity. I'm not saying anything about patriarchy. There's actually 2 female characters in here, and there's a very low body count because of their teamwork and their ability for this disparate group of misfits, and even 2 bickering factions of military people versus the scientists, which comes across in the 82 movie. But it's suspenseful, and it's got such well-written banter, dialogue. The joy of these old black and white movies, a 1951 movie, and just you had these military people that run the Antarctica base. Okay, then you had the scientists who are contracted to work at the Antarctica base. So they have 2 different. It's a big deal. The captain says, "Oh, I can't order the scientists around. They're not my matter. I can order my men around." And then there's a newspaper reporter who has got nothing to do with the original story or the 82 remake, and his name's Scott. And he's supposed to be us, our vehicle in this madness, that he not only comes out at the end, because he's like the weak kind of, or a beta male, or would we call him soy, or what would we call him today? But I know plenty of guys just like him, me myself included. I'm not a military guy. I don't have that built-in toughness and that ball-busting banter that veterans can have too. And so this college boy who works for the newspaper, who's there to cover this huge event, did they find signs of life in Antarctica? It's great. He's a great foil for the heroes, but there's a complete back and forth, great written dialogue, and a lot of it's kind of scathing, and it's all hidden in the details, and it was a really wonderful thing to watch as a horror fan. I really enjoyed the quality of the special effects. Everything had such a care to it. Black and white, it has a different lighting. They have different makeup. You know what I mean? You use different colors to represent different colors in black and white. It's weird. It's an art within an art. It really is. I love movies. And it was really fun to watch this. Now, 82's thing, gripping, tension, mood. It's an atmosphere. It's a color palette. It's spooky. It's creepy. It's gross. It's grotesque. We're getting into body horror later this week. This is like one of the great granddaddies of body horror, special effects heavy horror movies. This is closer to Alien. 82's Carpenter is very close thematically and visually and tone-wise to 1979 Ridley Scott's Alien. In my humble opinion, they're like that same. It's sci-fi horror, and a lot of it has to do with tension and fear of the unknown. And but what a joy this was. So there they are. There's the guy with the specs standing up. That's the reporter, Scott. He's being introduced to the command crew of the station, and they're all going to head up to Antarctica together, from somewhere in Alaska. And when they get there, it's already set up that the captain, the main hero, has a past with the secretary of the scientists. And so they give each other information. So that's good because they know when to leak important information to the other for survival's sake too. That comes in handy, like in Act 2 and Act 3. And there was not a huge body count. The thing did not get a lot of the. It's a hopeful survivor's tale. And then at the end of it too. So Scott, the reporter, he gets on the microphone and then he starts telling the tale to be retold to every newspaper and wire service out there in the world that yes, we did have first contact and it was a bloody affair. I'm making that up, but that the newsreader voice of the 1940s, that kind of thing. And so at the very end, Scott gets his very own heroic moment using his unique talent set, and his story, I found that to be very well-rounded group of characters. And they had as in with the second thing here, look, a big group of people, lots of actors acting in the same room, and it works. Wow. I mean, so I know you probably have seen the 1982 John Carpenter, The Thing, with Kurt Russell and that wonderful, horrible, grotesque movie. But did you see the movie before it? See, I caught this as an Easter egg when in 1978, when Carpenter shot Halloween, The Thing, Howard Hawks' 1951, The Thing from Another Planet, is playing on the television and Laurie Strode's background. I think maybe was it Tommy's house? The kid the kid she's babysitting. And then specifically the scene where they're all in a circle around, the diameter of the saucer, and they're figuring it out, like how big this thing is. Like, wow. And there's a running gag the entire show, so it's like it's Scott being like, "What did the general say? What did the general mention me? Like, we got a wire from Anchorage. Did the general mention me? Can I tell the story yet? No, he didn't mention you at all, Scott." And at the end, he gets his green light and tells the story. I love the ending on this version, and yeah, it's a completely kind of different tale than the original 1938 short story, but it's a Hollywood adaptation, and there you go. And then John Carpenter choosing to go back to the source material and pretty much respect it totally, because I believe at the end of the thing from another who goes there, the sole survivor is one of the pack dogs, and and we know the end of 82's thing, don't we? We don't want to spoil it for anyone. I don't want to, just, I already told you about the loop of, like, what I really wanted. Oh man, what a good movie. I mean, just, yeah, about tension, about drama, about trust, about who's who and what is what. Darn. The Thing, 1982, still got it going on. Seriously. But take a chance on the 1951 Thing from Another Planet if you can get your hands on it. It is worth it. It's an old-fashioned movie. It's 87 minutes long. It was released on April 27th, 1951, distributed by RKO Radio Pictures. This is like big stuff, and had a great cast, and it's one of these old-time movies, and it is a horror movie, and it is a sci-fi based horror movie, and it's intrinsically the same story. It's just the characters are a little different, the ending's definitely different. One's hopeful, one's nihilistic, one's white-pilled, one's black-pilled. Seriously, either way, they saved the day and saved the planet and had a story to tell. Well, one story was told. I think the other story was lost to the snows of Antarctica. And base number 4. Thank you so very much for tuning in. It's been Creature Double Feature. We've been talking about 2 versions of the same story. It's 1951. Howard Hawks, the director, The Thing from Another Planet, which is also remade in 1982 by legendary director John Carpenter in his atmospheric, legendary special effects, groundbreaking body horror, and use of grotesque and isolation and distrust, and his 1982 masterpiece, The Thing. And I had never seen The Thing from Another Planet before, and I had not seen The Thing, John Carpenter's Thing, since childhood. My best friend, Brian, he had a Laserdisc player, in the 80s, the big one, and they took cartridges, like the Laserdisc was inside the cartridge, but the cartridge was nice and big and album sized, like 33 and a third, album cover kind of thing, so it had big art on it. And there were a couple of movies that he had, and one of them was an American Werewolf in London, Escape from New York. He might have had Empire Strikes Back, I think. I'm not sure. He'll remind me. And The Thing. And I just, I viscerally, this was an indelible movie to see at a very tender age. I remember every Inside Out dog, and weird ass flowery looking, or it was just everything, capital T thing, like as in a character, as in antagonist, was so just out of a different nature. Like it was pure intelligence, maybe behind, like with the power of an amoeba. Maybe like this is what Tetsuo was feeling in Akira. And that was it. I have no idea. But it was organized and it was trying to get off the planet too and back. Oh, it really was. Um, they find like it's been constructing uh like a pod ship to get off the planet. Maybe he'll bring back other ones. Exactly. Ooh. But yeah, the thing. Um, and a double feature, and a creature double feature. Thank you so much for tuning in for this celebration of horror cinema. It was really nice watching a 1950s horror movie after all of these 70s and 80s slasher movies and a couple of their 21st century contemporaries to just find a really charming, well told, well spun tale. And it was just what I needed to get through, because it's like it was a nice break, and then to counter that with a very old friend. Yeah, as I was saying, so we watched the heck out of out of Werewolf in London, and The Thing, and especially Escape from New York, and but I hadn't seen it since then. I haven't watched this movie in 3 decades. But I know this movie, and it's just like I forgot how good this movie is. I hadn't seen it as an adult. Yeah, in my adult life. But I literally grew up on it. I knew it, like, wow. And those special effects are still impressive. And I did not even invest in a clean copy kind of thing. This is a DVD copy. So I don't know what the transfer thingies are, the doohickeys and the 4Ks and the 8Ks, and I'm okay, you're okay, and that's just the way it is. That's from Raising Arizona. Thank you so very much. It's been the 31 days of Halloween. We're doing a different horror movie every day, the month of October. So join us. If you're doing one at home, let us know what movie you're watching today. If you need some inspiration for your very own list of horror movies to watch every day this month, check out the playlist over here at the end of the show. And this was a nice one to do. It's creature double feature, and getting our things in order. Namaste. God bless. Namaste. Good luck. And we will see you again in the dark movie theater.